Namaskar. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Editorial Edge for this new week that we begin today. Okay, it's Monday. So let's quickly get rid of the Monday blues, get into it. Okay, it's a new week, lot of learning, lot of analysis, lots of work ahead of you. Okay, so, good morning, Pratik. Welcome, welcome. How are you? So, firstly, I welcome all those of you who are watching me live, and then again, those who will be watching me in the course of the day and thereafter. Okay, I am Bhuvan for Study IQ. I am here every morning 8 a.m. for the news analysis in this program that is called Editorial Edge. Good morning, Rajan. How are you? Deepak, good morning. Deepak, I think you should be heading towards the P2I, the orientation that should be beginning now. Have a look at your email. Okay. Lekam, good morning. So firstly, those of you who have signed up for the prelims to interview the morning batch that is beginning right now, 8 a.m. Okay. Head over to the class. You have your orientation. You can look at the news analysis after you have completed your orientation. Okay. Madhusudan, good morning. Subhra Jyoti Sahu, good morning. Sai Krishna, good morning. Good morning. Welcome, sirs. All of you. Sirs and ma'ams, you are most welcome. Okay. So, 3 articles that I have for you today. One is to do with the Digital Protection Bill. Okay, that's going to be put forward in the forthcoming monsoon session that has already been announced, I believe. Okay, so it's going to begin soon. So you'll see that the monsoon session of the Parliament of India will see the Parliament take up this particular bill for consideration. So we need to know, okay, what's the proposal. Obviously, there will be a lot of discussions that will be held in the Parliament, one hopes. But then you need to understand what's the key criteria, what's the key tenets of this whole policy, this bill that has been put forward. Okay, so we'll take a look at that. Number 1, the Digital Data Protection Bill. That's our first agenda of the day. Okay, this has been picked from the Indian Express. So after you have gone through the lesson, go ahead and have a look at the article. So it will just make a lot of sense for you. After that, it will be like easy. Khyati, good morning. Good morning. Okay. Thereafter, second one is World Chocolate Day, which was observed just yesterday or day before yesterday. I forget the date. But then in terms of chocolate, most of us consume chocolate. However, there are things about chocolate that you need to know, especially from the UPSC perspective. How sustainable is chocolate production right now? One big issue. And also you will have to understand that the chocolate production is linked with the ESG goals. Now, we have discussed in the past what are the ESG goals, the environment, social governance targets or goals that a company has. ESG goals are to do with businesses, private industries. So we'll take a look at that. What are the ESG connotations, whether the way we are, say, growing crops right now, the chocolate, in fact, is it sustainable? Because you will see that the consumption of chocolate is on an upswing. So up until now, I'll tell you the whole detail, but up until now you have seen, say, the major chocolate consumers have been the Western nations. But now, in India, in China, you see that there is massive level of chocolate consumption, which is again directly linked to the production. So we'll try and understand what's happening there. Okay. And thereafter, the third one is something that caught my eye that was seen just a couple of days ago in Hyderabad. Okay. So I was just browsing Twitter, and then I saw a person from Hyderabad take a photo of this particular cloud and then tag it. He was genuinely curious as to what this photo is, what this cloud is looking at. So I thought, why not? Because clearly it's a very rare event, the Peleus cloud. So we'll take a look at that Peleus cloud. Okay. Because again, I don't think this is there in the NCERT to the best of my recollection. So we'll take a look at the Peleus cloud also, cloud. So these 3 are our agenda. If you haven't so already, go ahead and join my Telegram channel. All right. Yesterday, I had put forth around, say, 10 questions on my official Telegram channel. Some of the questions were tricky. Some were not so tricky. They are designed to test your fundamentals as well as your understanding of a particular subject. Okay. So go ahead, do that. We are just beginning on, and so in your run up to the prelims next year, 2024, that particular group will be of huge importance to you. Okay. Because the current affairs that we discuss here is followed up by questions and analysis that is provided there. Okay. So go ahead, sign up. Join me on this Telegram channel, goes by the name of Bhuvan Study IQ. Okay. So let's get into the topic for the day. Number 1 is what we have is just I introduced to you the Data Protection Bill. Okay. The Digital Data Protection Bill. So first, let's look at this question, guys. Again, If you know the answer, if you want to attempt it, I suggest you do. Go ahead and let me know the answers in the chats. The first option says, the Digital Data Protection Bill regulates both personal and non-personal data governance. Okay, whether it is true or untrue, we'll see. The General Protection and Data Regulation, GDPR, this is called by the way. The GDPR is a policy, is a law on data protection and privacy by the European Union. So you'll have to identify the correct statements. Let me know in the chat if you can. If not, don't worry. By the end of the first 15-20 minutes, this will be very clear for you. This will be like a question you can answer in your sleep also. Okay. And this is the mains question for the day. So I have received again over the weekend. I just checked my mail this morning. So I have some people who have sent me answers for previous questions of the last week. I'll be responding to all of you by this afternoon. For those of you who want to give it a go, this is the question that we're looking to analyze. A robust data protection law is a necessary component of the broader framework for digital governance. Go ahead and comment on it. Okay. Now let's first understand what's data. Okay. It'll be very interesting because all of you, most of you are social media users. Clearly, you are on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram. So you deserve to know. Okay. What's up with this whole sector? Arka, good morning. Good morning. Okay. So first let's understand what are the kind of data that companies pick. How do they make you the source of data for themselves? So first you have an identification number. Let me just get the right color first. Okay. You will see often that on most social media platforms profiles, you are given a code, that comes after it will be like A10C2456X. A code is given to you. It's a particular value that is assigned. It's your identity, which means that is who you are for them, and all your data is linked to this identity. They don't know you as say Arka or Khyati or Sai Krishna. No, they know you by this number. Okay. So first you are given an identity. All right. Thereafter, what they get is your IP address. Now, for those of you who are into gaming or all of this, you will know IP address is a fixed entity. It is your location, your computer, your system, your mobile phone's internet location. Okay? All right. So IP address also they track, which means they exactly know, say where you are, what's the server that you are using, all of that is known to them. At the same time, you must have seen whenever you have to use a particular app or do anything on of these, they'll ask you permission, access to your location, access to your images, access to your video, access to your microphone. So many permissions they'll ask you. So at the same time, you realize that they're also tracking your location, which means they have exact information that such and such person stays in West Bengal or Haryana or Tamil Nadu, wherever. Now, why is that information important for these fellows? We'll understand. But see the kind of information first they're getting of you, how you are a resource for these companies. Okay. Then obviously they know your name, they know your physical attributes too. Now you will be asking me, how sir? How can they know I'm 6 feet tall or whether I'm 60 kilos or 100 kilos? You see, when you give them your access to your images, your videos, you have these smart watches, which is why I don't wear watches. Because if you have smart watches, they have access to your health parameters, real time basis. SpO2 level कितना है, pulse rate कितना है, क्या करोगे आप जान के? Why is it important for anyone to know? I myself don't know my SpO2 level. Why do you want to know? You see? So these smart watches, all of these are tracking your data real time. This is essentially a form of a data set that companies have. Okay. So they have data sets. Okay. They have data sets. Now what they do is they use these data sets to gather metadata, which is the larger data. The trend, when you do sampling, in statistics, when you do sampling, so you have say 100 samplings you have done. Thereafter, the larger conclusion that you draw out of those 100 samplings is the metadata. Okay. The larger, broader part of your data. SSC aspirant, good morning, welcome all of you. Okay. So you have health information, all of you who wear smartwatches. Yes, you are giving your information real time to these companies. All right. And thereafter, they know your economic, cultural, social identity by your say spending patterns. What time are you online? On YouTube, what channels are you watching? By looking at the channels that you're watching, Say right now you are with me for 1 hour on Study IQ IAS English. Okay. So now you will see that in your say recommended feed, you will have Study IQ IAS English videos coming to you. Now you will understand that YouTube is tracking and knowing right now, okay, this person is interested in this field, is of the age group say between 18 to 25, 30, whatever. Okay. After that, it has other information which it will correlate to understand that yes, you are a UPSC aspirant. Which means suddenly you will realize that in your YouTube feed, your Telegram, your Facebook, Twitter, you will have these targeted advertisements coming to you. Buy this book, 50% off. Go for this course, 100% off. So how is that happening? Because they have information about you. They are able to gather the larger evidence and then figure out that, okay, this person is a UPSC aspirant. Okay. So now this is problematic. Why? Because you did not sign up for your privacy to be invaded. Okay. So why are you being targeted with say repeated ads, which you probably may be needing, but again, it's a violation of privacy. You did not sign up for it. You did not say that send me those ads. Okay. So this is the kind of data the companies are gathering from you. Now please realize that the GDPR personal data, okay, the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, it is one of the most comprehensive frameworks right now in existence across the world. Okay, so make a note of the GDPR first. Let me clear this out. Okay. So the GDPR is one of the most comprehensive policy frameworks that has been started by the European Union. In fact, European Union came up with this. Okay. So now why is this important, guys? So you realize the amount of information that these companies are gathering of you. Now how each country is responding to this is different. Okay. There is no uniform response. So for example, the European Union, the ones that came up with this GDPR rules, the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation rules, they are extremely stringent, which means extremely tough on these companies when it comes to user data. At the same time, if you have say the USA example, it is different from the EU example. You will see how India is also different from these. Okay, there are similarities, but our approach is different. Okay, so understand that first. The GDPR personal data, it defines personal data as any information that can be used to directly or indirectly identify you. So all of these, from your identification number to your online IP address, to your location, your health statistics, all of that can be used to identify that, okay, such and such person. That is problematic. Okay. So the GDPR rules, the General Data Protection Regulation rules by the European Union, it looks to counter this. It looks to put the user, the internet or the digital user at the heart of this process, that their interests should be first managed and protected. Okay, let's go forward now. So you look at this statistics first and then you realize the whole magnitude of the problem, guys. Okay, so you have around 8.03 billion population total, out of which you are roughly finding that 5.5 billion people have mobile phones, and out of those around 5.1 billion are on social media platforms. Do you realize? Some sort, maybe from say Telegram to WhatsApp to Instagram, you name whichever, Koo, all of those. Okay, and then you have unique social media identities, which means a person having multiple accounts, one on say Telegram, one on WhatsApp, one on Facebook, one on Twitter. So it's multiple identities of one individual present across different platforms. Okay, all of you must be there. It's a very simple example. You must be having an account say on Google, which is why you are able to log in on YouTube and comment here. At the same time, some of you are with me on Telegram, another account. Some of you might be on Twitter, another account. Samajh rahe ho? So it's problematic. So now how are we looking to address this? And look at this, by the way. Google keeps the most data. Obviously, you realize our whole life is so dependent on Google right now that it can tell you at the end of the month that, okay, in the last month you drove such and such kilometers, so many kilometers, and on say this particular date you drove the most. How is Google going to know that? Which means you have given them location permission, that they're able to track your location real time. You use maps, तो आपका तो गाड़ी का तो लोकेशन उसको जाएगा ना, right? So Google is probably the most intrusive in terms of, say, going ahead and asking for permissions, multiple permissions to offer you their services. All right. So let's go forward now. So how are companies using your location data? Now look at this. Once they know your location, okay, how are they going to figure out? Look at this. They look at your income level. They will determine how much of income do you have. Spending patterns they'll look at. So your salary comes on the 1st. Second, third, you quickly go Amazon sale, Myntra sale, Ajio sale, you go buy yourself some clothes. By the time 25th come, you're short of money. You're not spending anymore on Ajio, no more Zomato ordering, which means companies are able to track that, okay, this candidate or this particular person spends majority of their money, say in the first week. So which means we need to go ahead and target them with the ads on which they're most likely to spend their money. Do you realize? So they know your income level. They obviously know your location. How is it that, say, if you go from Delhi, in Delhi you will get an ad of, say, a biryani place which will be famous here. That evening you fly down to Hyderabad, you will get an ad of, say, Paradise Biryani there. You go to Calcutta, you will suddenly find Sandesh ads coming to you, which means they're tracking your location real time, which is why they're able to give you that localized advertisements. Okay, so they know your location. They also know, say, which location you are in. Okay, and so the location that you are in, you will get advertisements of the businesses that are around that location. Good morning, Bhaskar. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Able to understand this. See, look how intrusive this is. You did not sign up for all of this. Obviously, you clicked I agree button, not thinking a lot. We all do that. I also do that. Who will agree to all of that? But then inadvertently, you have given them so much of your life. Your parents also may not know so much about you as much as Google knows about you today. Okay. Thereafter, shopping habits. So they'll send you targeted promos, coupons, 1+1. Go buy 2 shirts, we'll give you 1 more free. How is this happening? Unless and until they have information. At many a times you must have seen, you and your 4 friends, you are talking about a particular topic. For example, you'll be talking about, say, oh, you know what, we should go to Leh Ladakh after the mains. All of your friends agree. Tomorrow morning you will see suddenly you're finding on YouTube Leh Ladakh vlogger videos there or something of that sort. How is that happening? Which means you have given microphone access. They're able to get the information from your speaking, figure out that, okay, Leh Ladakh is the topic of discussion. Next morning, here, flight prices, 4,000 rupees. Kaise ho raha hai? Which means they're listening to you, So all of this is problematic, obviously. Okay. Look at this. What can companies tell from image recognition? You take a photo. Now, you give them permission, access to photos and videos. Yes, no problems. That is problematic. Why? Firstly, you have access to sensitive photos of your friends, your family, your partner, all of that is there. Secondly, the moment you give them permission for image recognition, video recognition, what they do is figure out who you are exactly. Okay, look at this. They'll recognize people and their key attributes. They will detect elements in the background. Look how far technology has gone. They'll figure out which location, which area you are in. And thereafter, they will identify objects, which places, which things are you near a car, are you near a mountain, are you near a sea beach. All of that is utilized as a part of your data to probably, most likely intrude your privacy. School and workplace once more. Sure. Look at this. So, it sends restaurants push notifications. Look at this, I'll tell you right now. Today you observe it, okay? Before lunchtime begins, say around 12:31, you will absolutely find a push notification come from these online delivery, Swiggy, Zomato, whatever. And it will be about a location in your vicinity. If you are in Calcutta, it will not tell you that, okay, Sarvana Bhavan in Chennai is opening. No. It will tell you about a Bengali outlet that is going to serve you food in the next 30 minutes. Go order now. They have access to information, right? Khyati, see, the problem is, if you give them those permissions, then after that, you are not going to look at the permissions again and again on a day-to-day basis. You have already given once. They have all the information. They have all the information that they need to use you as a resource person. It's not service. Okay? It's definitely not service. You are a resource for them. Okay, you are the one who is going to drive business for them as well as others. So they need to treat you as a resource, which is why they'll ask you for the permissions. After that, your privacy is inconsequential. It doesn't matter. You are looked at as a resource person. Okay, तो अब आगे देखते हैं. So now the problems that I've addressed before you, huge problems, no? So right to privacy, in fact, becomes a major issue. Okay, right to privacy, it becomes a major issue, especially in the online sphere. Okay, what is private, what is public should be determined by you first, not by the companies. Now this is one part of the problem. Look at this. The bill applies to the processing of digital personal data. Okay, operative word personal, not non-personal. What does non-personal data mean? Non-personal data of companies, of organizations, of entities. They also have data, no? Like AIMS. Remember? AIMS had a recent breach that happened. Now, even though it was individuals' data that was compromised, there must have been data as an organization, their bills, their audit reports. All of that is what? Non-personal data. So this particular law, the bill in fact, which will be taken up in the monsoon session, forthcoming monsoon session, it talks about only the personal data. So applies to the processing of personal data within and outside India for offering goods or services or for profiling individuals. See, goods and services, Zomato, Swiggy, Amazon, all of that. And for profiling to make sure, okay, what data set do you belong to? Okay. The entities that collect the personal data, which are called data fiduciaries, essentially Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of these. They are called data fiduciaries, which means that they have a responsibility towards you. They are just not, say, a service provider. They also have a responsibility towards you. So, what is the responsibility? To maintain the accuracy of data, keep data secure, and delete once the purpose has been met. It can't be that they collect their data, then a data breach happens, your data is now on the dark web. Have you heard of the dark web, guys? Huh? You will often find that your personal data is being sold on the dark web for so many $1 million or so many bitcoins or all of that. Okay. Suddenly you find that you're receiving calls from these numbers, no? +62, +84 on your WhatsApp you'll be receiving. What has happened essentially? That your data, your phone number has been compromised. Or else why would you suddenly receive phone calls from somewhere, from some foreign country, Indonesian number, Malaysian number you will be getting. This weekend itself I got 2 calls from +62 numbers, which means my phone number, now you give, phone number is used essentially anywhere, no, for OTP purpose, signing up an account, verification, which means someone somewhere has compromised my data. Why else would I receive a call? Okay. So, you have to keep your data secure and delete the data once the process has been met. That it should not be kept until eternity. Okay. That even after your death, your data is being harnessed. Wrong. Not possible. At the same time, it also talks about, suppose if you die. Okay. Suppose if you die, what happens to your data then? Huh? What happens? It's a fair question, no? Suppose if you die today. God forbid, but suppose. What happens then? What happens to your data on your Twitter account, your Facebook account, your direct messages, your likes, your retweets, your location, all of your history, search history, this history, that history, whatever. It's your personal private space. What happens to that? So, for that what's required is, like we have say bank account, you have a nominee, no? That in the case of my untimely demise, my bank account shall be operated and handled by my nominee. Similarly, in this also, the case of nominee is put forward, that there should be a nominee who should be in charge of your data, provided you have had an untimely death. In fact, all death is untimely only. So, provided you have death, you have died. Okay. It also allows voluntary undertaking. Now, this is for the company bit. Okay, the data fiduciary that I'm talking about. Which means that organizations who violate these rules can bring it up to the Data Protection Board. So, if I am an organization, I have all your data, guys. Karthik, good morning. Sorry, I missed your message. Purushottam, hi, hello. Correct, you are absolutely correct. All of you guys, for example, now understand this. I have all you guys data from Karthik, Pratik, Khyati, SSC, Sai Krishna, all of you. सबका data मेरे पास है. Now, if I were to suppose do something wrong, if there is a data breach of all you individuals, as a company, I will go in front of the board and say, you know what, I messed up. My mistake. This is what I did. Rather than the company coming to know or the government coming to know on their own, I go and say, yes, I messed up. My system got hacked. The data of all these aspirants is now has been compromised. So, the Data Protection Board is an adjudicatory body that will deal with privacy related grievance and disputes. Now, the problem with this board, guys, very briefly, I'll give you the whole PDF, but understand the board's problem now. It is a completely government controlled body. Okay. Which means you as an individual, as a social media user or as a digital user, you firstly have to realize that you have to protect your data from both the government as well as these private data fiduciaries. That you cannot leave your data in the hands of the government also. For misappropriation can happen there also. Which means that there needs to be a process wherein you have a say. Okay, an equal say in fact. It's your data. Right to privacy in the Puttaswamy case is a fundamental right. Okay, Puttaswamy case. Go and have a look at this. Okay, Puttaswamy case is a fundamental right. And you realize that rights need to be protected, not just against external players, but also against your own government. Okay. So, the Data Protection Board can recommend to stop legal action and or impose financial penalties. Okay. Clear है? ये तो ज़्यादा difficult नहीं है. Now, the highest penalty is 250 crore per instance. Operative word again, look at it. Someone who cleared UPSC, had good English, but lacks common sense, straight away went ahead and wrote per instance. What is per instance? Is it the per instance breach of your individual data, or the whole data set as a whole? What is per instance? See, realize vagueness is a quality that you will have to develop in the civil services. Okay, it's required. So anyways, 250 crore is the money that the companies have to pay if there is data breach. All right. Now let's go forward. So the significance, what is the significance of this bill? So you realize cheap data, cheap mobile phones. I gave you the statistics, no, 5.18 billion people are on the internet. Our own country, you have seen massive proliferation of mobile phones, UPI, data. Everyone is online nowadays. Okay, either making reels or consuming content or writing emails, business, personal, whatever. Everyone is online. Okay. So with increased digital penetration, the bill seeks to bring in a robust architecture for data protection. The bill is a crucial pillar for the overarching framework, which includes the Digital India Bill. It includes the Indian Telecommunication Bill, and then a policy for non-personal data governance. So straight away you realize that this bill is for you only, the user, the personal data of an individual. Clear? The bill moves from whitelisting, where personal data can be transferred. Now we'll understand the problem of data localization versus data residency versus the bigger concept of data sovereignty. Three terms that you should be aware of. Okay. For today's class, let's look at data localization. Okay. And data sovereignty. Okay. Especially from the mains perspective this year, anyone who's appearing, I would suggest have a thorough idea of what these terms mean. Okay. You cannot afford to not know this, especially for the mains this year. Okay. So let's look at this. What is data localization? So your data in the people of India's data first should be captured, stored and processed within the territorial boundaries of India. Okay, three term understanding. लिखिए इसको अगर आपको ज़रूरत पड़े तो लिख लो. I'll write this here. I'll write this here for your, so data localization, it should be captured, stored and processed, 3 terms, within the territorial boundaries of India. Okay, that is data localization. Now you may be able to transfer your data after this has been done to a friendly foreign country, because again you have servers, say, that are spread across the world. No? So Facebook will not just have servers in India, Twitter will not just have your servers in India. It might be that it get transferred to, say, Switzerland or France or any other country. The problem with that is that suppose if your data goes to a country with which we do not share cordial relations, or your data goes to a country from where it cannot be retrieved or deleted, because you remember we talked about the fact that it should also talks about what? That you should be able to delete your all data after you have met the purpose. Look at this line. Okay, so that is the problem. Now suppose if your whole data goes to a country where it can't be deleted, it can't be accessed. For example, our favorite country right now, China. Okay, what happens then? So data sovereignty comes in now. Okay, that firstly, after your data has been captured, stored and processed, you should also be able to retrieve it and delete it, and the laws of India should be applicable to this data. Okay, that shouldn't happen that your data gets stored in some other country and now I can't retrieve it for a particular legal problem here. Obviously that problem is sorted if it is within the country, if the data is within the territorial boundary of the country, no problem, easy. You can write a letter to the chief public officer of that particular company, tell them, send me the data of this individual. Issues solved. What happens if it is in Xinjiang? किसको लेटर लिखोगे आप? ठीक है, so that is the problem. So data localization is to do with this. Data sovereignty is to do with the application of laws. Okay, to this. Understanding, guys? So which is the bigger concept here? Data sovereignty is the bigger concept, under which lies data localization. So if this is data sovereignty, the bigger circle, the smaller circle is data localization. ठीक है? Clear? Because this the UPSC will ask you, especially in the prelims. They'll ask you to identify which is part of which part the laws are applied. Is it in data sovereignty or data localization? You should know that the laws have to do with data sovereignty. Data localization is to do with capturing, storing and processing. एकदम easy concept है. ठीक है? Let's go forward. Okay. Then there is the deemed consent for private entities, and the bill looks at allowing government departments to assume consent while processing personal data on the grounds of national security. Now this is a mains question here. Any student who is appearing for this year, pay note to this particular point. Okay, that it exempts the government. And remember my line that I told you, that your data needs to be protected against the government and against these data fiduciaries also. Okay, which means you cannot have a situation where the government departments are in charge of your data. That is problematic. Especially again, the part of this is that you will look to compromise the RTI now. The right to information will get diluted because these grounds will be put forth for refusing your data. National security, public interest. So you need a participatory model wherein government also is equally responsible as the data fiduciaries. Okay, clear? Khyati, just give me 2 minutes because I need to complete this from the mains perspective. 2 minutes, then after that we go on to the next one. Okay, next. So what does it mean? Now look at it for the consumers, for the government and for the companies. All three stakeholders, like I have explained it to you. All three are responsible. What changes for them individually? Data can be processed or shared by any entity only after consent, your consent. It should include penalties and financial liability in fact, so that your data is protected. पहले क्या था? Jail term propose किया गया था. Before, in the draft bill, no, jail term was also proposed in this. But finally, the bill that has been put for consideration of the House, that does not talk about jail term anymore. In fact, the problem is from jail term, they have gone on to financial liability now, or financial fines, just fines. Okay, this is the change that has happened. Okay. All data to be categorized under 3 categorizations: general, sensitive and critical. Important. Now the government will have the power to obtain any user's non-personal data. Look at this. They can get your non-personal data but not your personal data. That is still yours, guys. Okay. The bill mandates that all financial and critical data has to be stored in India. Sensitive data, critical data, general data. The critical data of an individual has to be stored within the territorial boundary of India, which means data localization shall apply. Alright. Sensitive data has to be stored in India but can be processed outside with consent, that you should agree to it. That yes, okay, if you are storing my data in such and such country, I have no issues. Alright. And what should companies do now? Formulate a voluntary verification process, which has started now. On Instagram, if you pay a particular amount of money, 700, 800 rupees, you get a verified tag. Twitter also has started it. Why is it? So that you have individuals who are verified, so that this law can take place. Now, क्यों verification क्यों जरूरी है? Suppose if there is 5-6 Bhuvan Apurva Jhas on Twitter, how will the company know which is which? How will the government establish which is which? So which is why a voluntary verification is done, so as to make sure that my identity is linked to that profile and my data is linked to that profile, which is why it's important. Okay. Sharing data without consent will entail a fine of 15 crore or 4% of the global turnover. Look at this. 4% of the global turnover of Twitter will be the fine. Realize. Okay. And data breach, 2% of the global turnover or 5 crores. Which has now been 25 crores. Critical data. Critical data is to do with your health. Do you realize? Your health, your finance, okay? Say your medical records. All of that is critical data. That's extreme private information. No one should have it except you. Critical data. Sensitive data, your photos, your videos. You know, you have photos with your partner, your family, your dog. No, that's your personal life. What should companies have to do with it? एंड जनरल डेटा क्या है? आपका लोकेशन, आपका मैसेजेस जो आप OTP वगैरह वो सब देते हो, दैट्स जनरल डेटा. ओके, सो द क्रिटिकलिटी इज इंपॉर्टेंट. हाउ कैन द कंसेंट बी टेकन टू स्टोर एज ए okay, consent. Look at this. The problem of consent comes where? When are you giving consent to a particular organization? When you sign that I agree button without looking at it. Remember, you quickly sign it ताकि मेरे को home page दिखाओ. So therein, the companies will have to make sure that you are able to give consent on a separate basis. It can't be a part of the whole document, gets lost in 12 font and you can't even see that. You should, as a user, agree to it, which means the companies will have to make changes in their architecture for you to be enabled to agree to it. Clear? Okay. So that completes the first topic, guys. Okay. Oh no, it doesn't. In fact, data portability, interoperability, बहुत important concepts है ये. So data portability now. 2 minutes you will understand this, guys. Portable क्या होता है? जो आप carry कर सकते हो ना. What portable suitcase, portable bag, which you can carry from here to there. Data portability is the same thing. For example, if I am on Twitter today, okay, and then a rival platform comes up, say Coup or Threads that has come up, no? Threads has been announced by Mark Zuckerberg yesterday, or it has already been working. So now, what does data portability mean? That if I have been on Twitter, say since 2011, I have say 100,000 tweets already I've done. Okay. Now today, if I want to go to Coup or Threads, why wouldn't I go? Firstly, because all my data is here. All my interaction is there. So I'll be like, no, I'll have to begin from fresh there. So data portability looks to take care of that. That you're able to migrate seamlessly between different platforms with your data. Okay. So portability of a data from one platform to another platform, thus facilitating interoperability. The logic, users should be able to take data along with them. So you can switch easier. Okay. Why? What happens now? Because you don't have data portability, firstly, as a consumer, you don't go from one platform to the other. You are boxed into a particular platform. And similarly, second aspect is, as an innovator, there is no incentive for me. No? I know that I can't get you guys on a different platform other than YouTube. Okay, because everyone will be here. So what's the point of creating another YouTube? Many people will ask. So Interoperability is not possible. Users of different social media platforms cannot communicate across platforms. Okay, fine. See, the nascent ecosystem will get a boost. Because of data portability, I am able to create another YouTube. I know that people from YouTube who are attending my class today will be coming to that platform. Why? Data portability is there now. Right? Okay. Have a look at this slide and look at data interoperability, which means not only will users get to port their data, they will also get to keep in touch with the original platform. How you use Gmail, guys? Look at it. Currently, abhi kya situation hai pata hai? If you are on Twitter, you can only interact with someone on Twitter. Can you message someone on Facebook from Twitter? No. Can you message someone from Instagram on Twitter? No. So data interoperability says that this whole thing from Gmail you're able to send to Yahoo email or Proton email, 100 emails you can send. No? Whichever email ID you have, you can send. Similarly, data interoperability is to do with, suppose if you're on Twitter, you should be able to send someone a message on Facebook or on Instagram, whichever apps. That is data interoperability, that you are able to seamlessly communicate across different platforms along with your data. Okay. They will get to keep in touch with the original platform they were on and engage with the platform users that they leave behind. So a Twitter user can leave the microblogging site to join a rival startup platform. समझ रहे हो? तो इसका फायदा क्या होगा? एक, as a consumer, you benefit. You don't have to be boxed in. Only you're talking to this Facebook crowd now. Plus at the same time, it incentivizes me as an innovator to come up with something knowing that, okay, if my product is good, people will come regardless. Clear? So it has both on the demand side and the supply side, it has connotations. Okay. If interoperability is introduced, it will look like email, like how it is in email. People will be able to break through the walled gardens that currently prevent them. Clear? This is the problem. Today you are not able to do this because there is no data interoperability. You have no choice but to say close your account and delete your account and then move to another platform. With this, straight away, sign on. Go ahead. I have joined Twitter. I have made Twitter 2.0. All of you come. You will come. Do you realize? Okay. Data protection, like I told you, it's a fundamental right in the European Union. In fact, the United Nations also now recognizes access to internet. Okay, access to internet is a fundamental right now, according to the United Nations. Okay, remember this. This is extremely important from the prelims perspective. The GDPR rules. Rian, I agree with the integration bit, but if you look at, say, what Elon Musk has done in terms of Twitter, that he made the source code of Twitter available online. You know, open source code bana diya usne. That is required, you know. You need initiatives like that, even if not on a company basis. If you want the internet space to be free as it was thought of to be. Today what has happened is internet has become very segregated. Not just say geographically, but also as apps develop. Okay. So many apps, so many platforms, and yet you're unable to say migrate seamlessly from one to the other. Unable to communicate seamlessly from one to the other. At the same time, these geographical problems have come up. Say China has its Great Firewall. Have you guys heard of China's Great Firewall? So it does not have, say, Facebook or WhatsApp or all of these. It has Weibo. Twitter hai nahi wahan pe, Weibo chalta hai. So this walling of internet should be stopped. Now, geographically you can't take care of it because country ka apna prerogative, it's sovereignty. They will decide what they want to do. But from the company side, you should be able to do this. Okay, so this will happen eventually. The US model, privacy protection is largely defined as liberty protection, focused on the protection of individuals' personal space from the government. Like I told you, your data you have to save not just from the companies but also from the government. So the US model is like protect the data from the government first. Okay. And China model, well, there is no China model. It's just that there is intense surveillance. It's completely walled. The Great Firewall it is called. Clear? So now let's look at the questions that I had for you guys. Bataiye iska answer. It's a very easy topic, guys. Don't worry if you are still confused in this. You will realize it's easier to understand with examples. Think of you as an internet user, the problems that you face. Quite easy. If you understood this, go ahead and like the stream for me and go ahead and share the stream for me, please. Share it with 2 of your best friends. That's all I ask. Okay. So, okay. Digital Data Protection Bill regulates only personal data. Only personal. Okay. Not non-personal. Incorrect. The GDPR is a policy by European Union. Correct. 2 only. 2 only. Alright. The question that I had given, no, the mains question, make sure that you send me answers, guys, especially those who are sending me on a regular level. Extremely good answers. Some names I can tell you, Karuna is there, one person calls himself Purpose, but really good answers. I'm extremely happy with the answers. So you guys also. I've deleted the question by mistake, but it's about robust architecture is necessary for governance. Have a look at it. Good answers. Pratik, Khyati, Asha, Sai Krishna. Well done. Bahut acha. Good. I'm happy to see that. Okay, let's look at the next one. But before that, if you haven't so joined me already, well, this is beginning now, okay? The orientation for class for this is going on right now. 1-year course. Several students from this batch are a part of this. If you so desire, time is still not up. Go ahead and sign up for this. 1-year intensive course. Hand holding right from today up until you appear for your interviews. Today is the day, in fact. We've just begun 30-40 minutes ago. So I would suggest, go ahead, have a look at it, okay? 3 particular languages. I am associated with the English batch, and use this code, guys, because then you get allotted to my batch. I become a part of your preparation and you get a substantial discount which you can use to give me a cup of chai later. Okay. All right. Now coming to my favorite topic. Yesterday or day before yesterday was World Chocolate Day. Okay. Most of you will be having chocolates, right? So understand the history of chocolates. Firstly, you found it near the Amazon rainforest. That's where it originated from. Okay. The Amazon rainforests, in fact, if you see, chocolate has been consumed since ancient times. Okay. They figured out how to have that cocoa. It looks like this. Okay. The cocoa plant, the cocoa fruit plant, in fact. So it looks like something like this. You go ahead, there is a whole process required, and then you finally make the edible chocolate. So it has been consumed since ages, began in the Americas, and then today you find that 2 countries are the forces of monopoly in this sector. World Chocolate Day, yes, 7th, just a couple of days ago. Okay. So 2 countries have a monopoly. One is Cote d'Ivoire, which was also called as Ivory Coast. For those of you who follow football, you will know that the person called Didier Drogba, he was from Ivory Coast. So Ivory Coast, again, massive chocolate production. At the same time, you have Ghana. These 2 countries produce close to 70% of the world's chocolate. 70% of the world's chocolate. Okay. So cocoa trees prosper only under specific conditions: fairly uniform temperature, high humidity, abundant rain, nitrogen-rich soil, and protection from wind. These are the conditions you need to remember, the geography bit. In fact, what you realize is that cocoa plant is a shade tree. Okay, it's a shade, it grows best in shade, in fact. So in India, I'll tell you what we do. In India, cocoa is largely grown in Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and one place I forget. These 3 are the primary places. You know how it's grown there? So you have cashew nut trees, coconut trees, and areca nut trees. What they do is that, suppose this is the line, okay, spacing of 5 feet that they have introduced the plants, then another line of coconut trees. So this area in the middle, no, where you know that there will be shade, that's where they go ahead and introduce the cocoa plant. Okay. So it's not a monocrop. Cocoa plant is never done in a monocrop because it requires shade. You need some bigger tree to give it shade. If it is direct sunlight, it will not it will not fruit only, it will not germinate only. Okay. So it's a shade temperature. Make a note of this, guys. Prelims perspective. Know the fact that in India what we do is, you have lines of crops, lines, बीच का space में हम cocoa लगाते हैं, ठीक है, which eventually is the raw material for chocolate. In short, cocoa trees thrive in rain forests. Chocolate is now grown around the globe, typically within 10% north and south, 10 degree north and south of equator. Why? Because all these conditions are found here only. You need rain, you need shade, you need heat, you need humidity. ये थोड़ी ना आर्कटिक में आप उगाओगे. It has to be near the equator. Okay. In India, cocoa has been cultivated in Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra, and Tamil Nadu. Andhra is in fact the leading producer of cocoa, chocolate in India. Leading producer. And who is responsible for all of this? The Directorate of Cashew Nut and Cocoa, which is under the Ministry of Agri and Farmer Welfare. Know of this. Most of you will not be able to tell me which organization is responsible for chocolate production or cocoa production in India. Who provides the policy framework? Most of you will tell me this name. हाँ sir, must be Ministry of Agriculture, correct? Which particular directorate, department is necessary, guys? सरकारी में घुसने जा रहे हो आप. Yes, you should know all of this. Okay. So, a lot of cocoa production is far from sustainable. The problem for mains now, guys, that it is not sustainable. Why? Firstly, you're looking at child slavery. Big problem. Straight away, whenever you see the word slavery, you have lost the argument there and then. Okay. So, you are also looking at rainforest destruction. So, the next time you go ahead and have your chocolate, realize that some child in Ghana or some child in Cote d'Ivoire slogged the whole day so that you enjoy your silk, Cadbury silk. Okay. It is marked by child labor, deforestation, and allegations of greenwashing. What is greenwashing? Quickly let me know in the chat. Where you are claiming to do something green for the environment, which would have happened regardless of your efforts. Like how the airlines, I have done an extensive video on this, how the airline companies in the world are greenwashing, which means they will claim that we are adding to limiting carbon in the atmosphere, but actually nothing is happening. It is all bunkum, it is called hawa. Okay. So greenwashing is happening. The industry has arrived at a critical juncture. More than 2/3 comes from West Africa, and the price is paid, obviously. In fact, if you look at the history of Africa, no guys, you will realize that it is such a resource-rich continent. And that is the problem. Because it is a research-rich continent, people just look at it from an exploitative point of view. More often than not, you will see throughout the history of the world, and even from the geographical perspective, the places that are resource-rich are not the places that are fledgling. You know, their economy will not be very good. Very minor examples you will find here and there, industrial nations ke example mein. But in developing world, if you are resource rich, it's bad news for you. Okay, people are going to come and exploit you left, right, and center, and that has been the history of African continent also. Okay, so this dissonance between cocoa industry's claims of sustainability and the economic crisis has a knock-off effect on the parliament. First, realize you are looking at child slavery, you are looking at rainforest destruction. How are you going to introduce ESG? I mentioned about this, which the full form is environment, social, governance. It is for what companies, the model companies should adopt to be sustainable in their production. Okay. So now people are asking, say, Nestle or Mondelez or all of these big chocolate companies, what are you doing to address these two problems? So you will see that now you will have on many chocolate, especially the foreign ones. India mein to utna nahi hai abhi. If ever you buy a foreign made chocolate from Amazon, you will see it's written there, made from sustainably produced cocoa, which means they are saying that we are not doing all of this. Our cocoa is not produced like this. What is the purpose of deforestation? Pratik, the problem is you are cutting down rainforests to grow cocoa. Straight away realize this. The problem is that because now the consumption is so much, no? India and China both are having chocolate at a massive level. Western countries have been heavy consumers of chocolate. So the area of production, the acreage as you call it, acreage, acreage, which is the crop area that you sow. Okay. Now you are seeing that people in Ghana, in Ivory Coast are in fact cutting down rainforests. They also have extensive forests there. Now they are cutting down rainforests and growing cocoa. Is that desired? Is that sustainable? Realize that first. When the D-Day comes, You want rainforests or will you eat chocolate? You want rainforests, no? They are the carbon sink in a way. They help in like completely, the environment is completely dependent on them. Realize that? That's the problem, okay? Growers desperate to make enough money expand their acreage with disastrous consequences. The world's topmost cocoa producer, 80% of rainforest has been destroyed. Look at this. Pratik, your answer. The answer to your question is here. So you're cutting down rainforests and growing chocolate. क्या करोगे इस chocolate का आप जब सांस लेने को नहीं रहेगा तो? ठीक है. Plus at the same time you're looking at child slavery where children are slogging from morning till evening. Pittance money, the chocolate that you buy for say 200 rupees a bar, a big bar of chocolate. Essentially you're the person who is responsible for growing it gets less than 0.5% of it. Do you realize? The same concept, if you have seen a movie by Leonardo DiCaprio called Blood Diamond, okay, there's a movie I would suggest, आप लोग नहीं देखे होगे ना, तो go and see this movie by Leonardo DiCaprio. It's called Blood Diamond. Wherein say, again, African continent, same, we'll go back to that continent only. So diamonds were produced massively there. But then you have diamonds that have been through illegal trade, that have been taken out, and the person who was taking out was probably dead by the time. That there's a sustainable method of extraction, and then there is another method where you have people, you give them 10 rupees din bhar ke kaam ka and you tell them go slog. If they don't work, you torture them. So that was Blood Diamond. That same concept is here. Unsustainable chocolate. Okay, if you haven't seen, see this movie guys. You will be able to correlate with what's wrong with the chocolate production. The scenes that you will see where women, children, old age, everyone is being forced to go ahead and mine for diamonds. Similarly, Ivory Coast, China, everyone is being forced, go cut rainforests. After the land is cleared, go grow chocolate, grow cocoa. Eventually, the chocolate that is sold for 200 rupees, they don't even get 1 rupee out of that. Problematic or not? Clear? So that is chocolate, the unsustainable model of chocolate. How do you address it? Companies need to come up with this, the ESG policies that we talk about. That companies should now ensure that their supply chain for chocolate production is independent of these things. That human rights are being respected and that labor laws are being respected in production of the cocoa trees. Yes, Lake, please go ahead. Shoot me a doubt. Shoot me a doubt, guys. Lake, please go ahead. Okay. All right. I'll just wait for the doubt. Then we'll come to this beautiful looking cloud, by the way. This was seen in Hyderabad. You may not believe it, but this was seen in Hyderabad, I think just a couple of days ago. Okay. Pileus cloud. In fact, if you look at a better picture of this, this is how it looks like. Shoot me your doubts, guys, if you have any doubts. Okay. So, Pileus cloud, a small horizontal lenticular cloud which appears above a cumulus or a cumulonimbus cloud. What happens is essentially that this formation that you see here, why is this happening? Because the base cloud pushes a moist current of air upwards. So you have the base cloud, moist air goes upwards and water vapor from the current condenses to resemble a wave. Goes up, loses temperature, condenses, and it looks like a wave has formed over that cumulus or cumulonimbus cloud. That is called a Pileus cloud. Whenever you see a Pileus cloud, whenever you see this beautiful thing, straight away realize that the weather is not going to be good after that. It is an indicator of bad weather. However, it is extremely rare. Bipin, I will repeat it. Just let me finish this, Bipin, then I'll go back to that. Okay. So they are short-lived and are uncommon and they are indicators of severe weather. Make a note of this. From the prelims perspective, Pileus cloud extremely important. Again, why? Because NCERT does not include it. Now in the news, so you must know. Everyone will know what is cumulonimbus, cumulus, stratocumulus. Fine, that to even school children know. UPSC aspirants should also know what is Pileus cloud. Okay. Alright, so now I have a doubt from Bipen. Repeat the way forward bit. Okay. How are you going to address the problems, Bipen? Understand this. Okay. That there are problems in the supply chain that exist for chocolate production. So as said the Nestle's CEO, what should I do? I should say that, okay, the production supply chain of cocoa for making Nestle chocolates, that should not include sourcing from those areas where child slavery is being done for production of cocoa. At the same time, forests are being cut for production of cocoa. Okay, that you should straight away incentivize Ghana and Ivory Coast to have these kind of models in place, that they should not go ahead and exploit their people to fulfill the global demand for chocolate. Okay, is that clear, Bipen? So that is the way companies are going to do. So what is that called? That action taken by the companies to make sure that their chocolate production is not unsustainable, that it is not infringing on the human rights of kids, that you are not cutting down forests to grow chocolate. How can companies do that? They can include it as a part of their environment, social and governance procedure, which is also called the ESG framework. Okay, the ESG framework. We have discussed this previously in this very session. The ESG framework is to do with companies or organizations, okay, to make sustainable choices. For example, another example you must know right now is, so you have something called Mission Life. The Prime Minister has spoken about this. All of you must have at least heard about it. If not, if you don't know, don't worry. You must have heard about Mission Life. What does it do? It targets the individuals to make sustainable choices. So you see, you have particular policies in place for each stakeholder. For you, the consumer, there is Mission Life, that you don't use plastic, that you recycle water. That's all. For these companies, they have the ESG framework. Same thing, make sustainable choices. So for each stakeholder, you have different names. End target is the same, that everyone should make sustainable choices. समझ रहे हो आप? Monica, sir, do we have any government institution in India for cocoa management? Yes, Monica. The Department of Cashew Nut and Cocoa Production under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. This one, Monica, have a look at this. ये वाला. The Directorate of Cashew Nut and Cocoa Development under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. What I want you to do is go ahead and look at the Cocoa Research Institute of India. Where is it located? Okay. Not a very know about it. You never know. You should not second guess about UPSC. They might ask question from anywhere. So go ahead and prepare comprehensively for a particular topic. Okay. For cocoa wala topic, make sure you know the geographical conditions. Where it is grown, 10 degree north and south of equator, because the geographical conditions, temperature, atmospheric conditions required are there. Okay. India में कौन सा state सबसे ज़्यादा उगाता है? India में where it is done? What are the problems for the mains? Where is the exploitation happening? What can be done to address it? And that is it. You are done. Chocolate is done for you. Okay. So the next time you take a bite of the chocolate, realize that if your company is not making the sustainable practices, the ESG practices, then you are complicit in this unfair procedure of extracting chocolate or cocoa by infringing on people's rights and infringing on the global environmental rights. Okay, make a note of that. ठीक है? Okay guys, so that brings me to the end of this particular class. Go ahead and like the stream for me, please. Last class, in fact, I had mentioned that I have a target of 50 likes and I must thank each one of you individually. My dear students ensured that I had 50 likes. So now my next target is that someday, can we get 100 likes? Okay, so we'll see. Anyone who is watching this, if you so would consider, go ahead and like the stream, share the stream for me, and answer the mains question that I had mentioned right at the beginning of the class. Please do that. Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow morning 8 AM with another set of topics. Before I go, make sure that you go ahead and read the articles for today. The data governance article is in Indian Express on the op-ed page. Okay. Have a look at the Indian Express article. The chocolate one, well, it's a topical theme topic. It was just there yesterday or day before. So not very important. Go ahead and also read about the Peleus cloud, which we did today. Okay. Know about it. I have given you the basic details. Have a look at the photo. You will remember it then. That what happens? It goes ahead, cools down, condenses, forms a wave-like structure. ठीक है? Okay, thank you everyone. Pratik, Khyati, Monica, SSC, aspirant. Thank you so much for your time. Riyan, Sai Krishna, thank you so much for your time, guys. Please join me again tomorrow morning 8 AM another episode of Editorial Edge, we'll take a look at 3 more topics, deep dive from prelims up until interviews. ठीक है? All right, guys, have a fantastic